Okay, my name is Kwesi E, Baako, and this is the editorial. Today, for today's consideration, I should say, I'm going to be talking about a subject that many people shy away from. All right, I'm going to challenge our intellect as well as our professed sincerity when it comes to matters relating to this topic that I'm going to be talking about today. Recently, Mr. President met CSOs to discuss Galamsey. The topic, of course, was Galamsey, right? But something else caught my attention. In a response to a question that Mr. President was asked regarding punishing perpetrators, Mr. President responded thus. Let's watch this video.
Like I said, it's not an event, it's a process, but we will never give up. It's a long journey, but we'll continue to work on it. I like that somebody raised that, what are we doing to the kingpins? Because most of those 1,400 who have been arrested are young youth who are looking for something to be able to look after themselves. And we'll prosecute them, we'll imprison them. But those who run those operations are the ones that we must be arresting and imprisoning, not these little boys, you know. And so we need to change our strategy. We can arrest the boys and all that. Culture. There's no slap on the wrist. What's the least sentence? 15 years. 5 to 15. Yeah, so we'll catch these boys and we'll feed them for 5 years. Look after them for 5 years and discharge them. But like I'm saying, maybe we can look rather for the kingpins and deal with them in a major way.
Okay. So Mr. President quickly acknowledges that it may not be the best idea to punish young people who may be involved in Galamsey only because they are trying to make a living. Well, Mr. President, respectfully, that would be like saying that the armed robber or the pickpocket has to eke out a living, so whatever they're doing is fine. Galamsey is wrong. It is a massive infraction on other people's freedoms and sovereignties and all that. So I don't too much agree with that, but that's not even the point. Mr. President, have you seen some of the videos coming from these sites? Some of the things that these people who you are graciously trying to make a case for are doing. Let's see what some of them are saying. Chief play. Chief play. That does not seem like eking out a living or daily bread to me. That looks like somebody who's out to make something much more than that. But again, let's put that on the side because that really is not the main issue for me today. Mr. President, have you seen some of the we just dealt with the videos. Script, move down. All right. Okay. So I totally agree with your point, though, about the kingpins, Mr. President. Of course, the kingpins are the ones who are supposed to be followed. However, those who are arrested doing these things just have to face the law. But guess what? That's not even Still, the main issue for me. Now let's go on to my main issue. And before I do that, let me read this disclaimer. I am going to be speaking about marijuana. I am not referring to anything else. Anything at all. Red, blue, green, indigo, purple, violet, cocaine, whatever. I'm not talking about none other of these things. The case I'm making today is purely for God's own creation, marijuana. All right? And it will go full circle and come back. Bear with me. Okay, so Mr. President, I see from your body language that you do not accept the option of putting away productive youth for 5 years as a solution to the Galamsey issue. I don't know about everybody watching, but did you see or did you hear? Because I did, right? Through a combination of both body language and a careful selection of words, that Mr. President is opposed to the idea of using state resources to feed and house youth for years, only because they were out looking for their daily bread. That is a very well-placed sentiment, sir, measured and very statesmanly. But sir, let me draw your attention to something. What about the thousands of youth who are locked away on charges of possession of marijuana? Sir, take the story of the young nurse whose story we carried on this very network. A young, productive Ghanaian, not destroying anything, who was killed by police under the pretext of possessing marijuana. IGP Onu, I'm waiting for an update on that story, please, sir. And I will be letting my producers check up on you to follow up on that story of the young nurse that was beaten to death by police because they thought he had marijuana on him. Okay, now let's take a less severe case also of the youth who was sitting with his friends when police raided and dragged all of them to the police station. He's charged with possession. And even though it was his very first time of seeing what the much talked about weed looked like, he is put before the court, jailed 5 years. He did not destroy anything. Mr. President, we need to give our youth the room to make mistakes and correct them. If somebody is jailed that easily, and to go back to your words, the state feeds them for years. The state is actually losing twice. Not only is government spending money feeding these people, but the future of these people, of these youth, who otherwise would have become productive members of the community, tax-paying members, productive, contributing members of society, their futures will be jeopardized by depriving them of the normal channel of acquiring skills and contributing to the society. They indeed, after they have been released, will also become a burden onto society, because you know what? The years that they would have spent studying in school or in university or acquiring some advanced skills is spent in jail. Government feeds them, spends money on them, something that the president is worried about. And then they come out and they don't have no skills because the years they should have used acquiring their skills were spent in jail. They give them some wishy-washy carpentry skills and whatnot. Nobody wants to employ them because they are prison graduates. So the state is losing double. Some of these youth, innocent prior to being jailed, would learn real-life crime from prisons also. Because he possesses marijuana. Such stupidity, right? But then in the jail, no, Nipana on Nimbibiano was hanging with his friends. Take the example of the second one I was using, sitting with his friends. Let's say he was even smoking with his friends, peer pressure. But as a youth, he's not given the opportunity to correct his mistakes. And then you take them, and instead of giving them something lenient, You put them away for 5 years, and the state is feeding them also. That doesn't sound like a smart thing to do to me at all. In the West, the same nations that forced us to sign these obfuscating treaties and conventions, they have regularized the use of marijuana, which, by the way, for those living in ignorance, is God's creation. There are stores with loyalty programs, right? Selling marijuana, providing employment for farmers and retailers, storekeepers, contributing to state and national incomes, revenues, right? And overall taking the meat of drug dealers' tables. Guess what? If the state regularizes the proper sale of marijuana, we won't have any more drug dealers hiding behind corners. And no sound on red for anyone, white for no. They'll go and stay somewhere. Then when you're going to go deal with it, then you're dealing with that. But now it's all bundled together. So when you see somebody acting stupid, you think they've smoked marijuana. We have to speak up, because Charlie, seriously, I don't understand why in this day and age, where the West is using marijuana for scientific purposes, including for medicinal purposes, Ghana and Kwa read it at the Swabadam. Okwa Brutia, Yitimidi marijuana, Yitimidi Yedro for even children to use in measured quantities, in different forms, tinctures, pills, smokable forms, all type of different forms, gummies, whatnot, for even children to be able to use. Ghana can't read it, they don't know about them. How is that? And we are sitting down and dealing with this nonsense any which way. Let me move on and wrap up. Time is fast spent. It is a difficult discussion to have with you, Mr. President. I don't know if the churches, most of who are in a very good place with you, will allow you to make a rational decision about this. Because we take the thing, we take marijuana, and then we moralize around it. But what is that moral? Where is that coming from? Have we investigated that? Have we investigated who told us, say, we are the bonnie? Most people in Ghana can say, oh, because we are the bonnie, but who told you that though? Nipa Krona and Ganjah, the American youth. And the American people say, we are the bonnie, so there are stores. Right now, where I sit, I can drive less than 15 minutes, walk into a store, and buy marijuana. And there's a chain of benefits from that one thing that I can do, right? But in Ghana, no, you see, we need a bodam. We've moralized around it. Or so for Baako say a bodam. But sad idea if you because as far as I'm concerned, the Bible never told us we be bodam. So where did that idea come from? So, Mr. President, you represent everybody. When you think of these things, we would need you to make a clear mind decision about this, not to be distracted or detracted by any form of religious sentiment whatsoever. Because the Bible itself says in Genesis that we shall use herbs for our food and our medicine. That's what I know the Bible told us, not the other way around. I think we as a people should really start letting some things realign. Seriously. Can we stop this madness of committing our youth to a life of uncertainty because they may have hung with the wrong crowd at some point in their life? Remember, this youth did not destroy nothing. I think we as a people should rethink the 1961 single convention on narcotic drugs. I think we should rather start out early to cash in rather than be cashed in. And to start it all off, I think we should immediately revise the laws prohibiting the possession of marijuana, making it, if anything at all, less punitive and inuring to the benefit of the state rather than to its laws. May I suggest something called community service, for instance, Mr. President? Let's say that we even want to punish offenders. Let's say we even want to do that. Do we want to keep them away for 5 years and feed them at the expense of the state? Or we want to benefit as a state from that process? What about putting them in community service programs so that if somebody is found possessing marijuana, instead of keeping them away for 5 years, put them in a community program for 3 months. Let them help sweep the streets for 3 months. Let them help do some other type of work that the government would otherwise be spending money on for some months, and let the youth go and continue his life. So that he would have, even if he thought that was a mistake, he would have learned from that, reformed himself, and realign himself for the future, the state benefits, rather than taking people, putting them away for years, spending money on them because somebody told you to do that. And the person who does that, who told you to do that, on only Chrome, they have stores where you can go and buy these things. They have hospitals where they use it for scientific purposes. So, Mr. President, as part of your reset agenda, I would like to see you do something about this, please. I'm just saying, and as I wind up, let me just say this quickly. President Mahama, for many, your legacy will be the lasting monuments such as the infrastructure that you put up. For some, it will be your style of leadership, which seems to have restored confidence in governance in our beloved country. To yet some others, it may be a myriad of other things that may not even cross my mind. But let me be very clear on this, sir. To a very large percentage of Ghanaians, and this I swear to you, includes people in very high offices. If you are able to reverse this terrible school to prison trend, restore the hope of our youth by giving them room to make mistakes and correct them before they make those same mistakes as adults, you would forever remain not just as a name slapped on monuments, but as a name that lives in hearts, like Kwame Nkrumah. To wrap it up, let me also share this story real quick. I worked in New York on a program called RTA, Raise the Age. Now, Raise the Age was the governor's idea of, so basically what the idea was is that if the youth commit a crime, petty crime, and they are up to 17 years, right? The cutoff point is 17. 18, sorry, you're on your own. You're going to face the penal system. But once you are up to 17 years now, they have a program called Raise the Age. So when a youth does something wrong, instead of going to the penal system, they put them in this place called cottages, right? Where it's set up like a home, just that they are living with other boys, okay? And then they have programs that they go through. They may stay there for like a year or so, months, whatever. And then they let them go back home. So that youth under 17 years, even if they make mistakes, they're not going to prison. They're going through a program to reform them. Who's 17 now? Who could be 18? So when you go up and fuck up again, and I'm using F freely, yeah, because I'm making a point here, right? And you go and do that again, then you're on your own, then you go to jail. Kwame Nkrumah had the Bostel home system. Let's go back to that. Let's revive that. Let's keep youth out of jail. And while I'm at that, I want to reiterate again, sir. If Galamsey people who are hurting Asasiya deserve a reprieve, then dare I suggest, Mr. President, that the Ganjah prisoners who destroyed nothing also deserve a reprieve. My name is Kwesi E, Baako. I come in peace. I come not to please. When we come back, we'll bring you agriculture with Rootsman. Stay put.